Hello, it's Ms Diane from the Southworth Library. Did you know that March is National Reading Month? Well, it's my favorite month because I love to read, especially reading aloud. Well, we want to celebrate with some books for you to enjoy to read aloud with your family. This book is a book we're giving away to families so they can enjoy reading aloud together. And I'm going to read you one of the stories from it. It's the Disney Pixar Storybook collection. You might recognize some of your favorite characters from the movies in this book. Can anyone guess who's going to be in the story I'm going to read? Well, if you said Nemo, you'd be right. I put him on my head just to give you a clue. And this story is called Finding Dory. Here we go. Dory was a blue tang fish. As a baby, she'd been separated from her parents. Alone, she wandered the ocean looking for her family. Dory asked everyone she met for help, but Dory was not like other fish. She suffered from short-term memory loss. That meant she couldn't remember where she came from or who her parents were. As Dory grew older, she forgot all about her parents. She knew she was looking for something, but she couldn't remember what. One day, Dory saw a boat pass overhead. Then she heard a panicked voice. It was coming from a clownfish named Marlin. He was looking for the boat. It had taken his son Nemo. "Hey, I've seen a boat," Dory said. "Follow me." Together, Dory and Marlin traveled many miles through the ocean to find Nemo. With Dory's help, Marlin found Nemo. When their adventure was over, Marlin invited Dory to live with him and Nemo in the Great Barrier Reef. One day, Dory went with Nemo's class to see the stingray migration. As the stingrays swam past, Dory got too close, and she was pulled into the undertow. As her whole world went black, she had fuzzy memories of her parents. When Dory woke up, she thought she remembered something important. She just couldn't remember what it was. But Nemo had overheard Dory murmuring about the jewel of Morro Bay, California. When Nemo told Dory what she had said, it triggered another flashback. She remembered her parents. Dory knew she had to find them, but Marlin did not want to travel all the way to California. "Please, all I know is that I miss them," Dory said. Marlin remembered how much he had missed Nemo. Marlin and Nemo agreed to go with Dory. With the help of Marlin's sea turtle friend Crush, the trio soon made it across the ocean to California. When they got to Morro Bay, Dory swam around, shouting for her parents. A group of hermit crabs tried to shush her, but they were too late. Dory had woken a giant squid. The squid chased the trio and grabbed Nemo. Luckily, it let go, and the friends were all flung into a nearby kelp forest. As Marlin comforted Nemo, he lashed out at Dory. "Go wait over there and forget," he said. "It's what you do best." Upset, Dory went to find help. Suddenly, she heard a voice. She swam to the surface, following the sound. Nemo and Marlin caught up with Dory just as a pair of hands grabbed her. The two watched in horror as Dory was pulled into a boat and taken away. The humans put Dory in a tank and clipped a tag to her fin. Suddenly, an octopus named Hank popped up next to her. Hank told Dory that she was at the Marine Life Institute, or the Jewel of Morro Bay, California. Her tag meant that she was being moved to another aquarium in Cleveland. Dory realized that she was from the Institute, but she couldn't remember which exhibit she was from. Hank was supposed to be released back into the ocean, but he didn't want to go. Hank offered to help Dory find her family if she would give him her tag. Then Hank could go to the aquarium instead. Dory agreed. As the pair wandered the institute, they met Bailey, a beluga whale who could use sound waves to see, and a giant whale shark named Destiny. Destiny and Dory had been friends when they were young. Destiny told Dory she was from the open ocean exhibit. She suggested that Dory swim through the pipes to get there, but Hank couldn't fit into the pipes. Dory was afraid she would get lost on her own. She was determined to find another way. Riding in a baby stroller for transport, Dory navigated while Hank rolled them toward the open ocean exhibit. And then Dory saw a sign she recognized. She told Hank to go left. There was just one problem. The open ocean exhibit was to the right. The two ended up in the touch pool, a tank where children got to touch sea creatures. Hank was scared the kids would grab him. He was a septopus. That's hard to say when you're used to saying octopus. A septopus is an octopus with 7 tentacles. But Dory encouraged him to just keep swimming. Finally, they escaped. Dory looked up. They had made it to the open ocean exhibit. Dory smiled at Hank. "I think I'm going to remember you," she said, giving Hank her tag. Hank took it in one of his tentacles. "Ah, you'll forget me in a heartbeat, kid," Hank replied. "I'll have a hard time forgetting you, though." Gently, Hank dropped her into the tank. Meanwhile, out in the open water, Marlin and Nemo were looking for a way to save Dory when they met 2 sea lions. The sea lions said that Dory would be in quarantine. Marlin was worried. How would he and Nemo get inside to save Dory? The sea lions had an idea. They borrowed a bucket from a silly sea lion named Gerald. Then they called for Becky, a bird who lived nearby. Scooping Marlin and Nemo into the bucket, Becky headed for the institute. But on her way to quarantine, Becky got distracted. She hung the bucket on a tree branch and flew away. Thinking they had been abandoned, Marlin rocked the bucket back and forth until it tipped over. He and Nemo fell out and landed in an aquarium in the Institute's gift shop. Back in the open ocean exhibit, Dory spotted a trail of shells. She followed it and found her childhood home. Dory's memories came flooding back. She remembered going outside and being sucked into the undertow. Just then a crab interrupted Dory's thoughts. He told her the blue tangs had been taken to quarantine. Dory had to get back there. The crab gave Dory directions, and she headed into the pipes. But there was a problem. Dory couldn't remember the directions, and soon she was lost. Dory called out to Destiny the whale shark. With Bailey's help, Destiny gave Dory directions. Dory was almost to quarantine when she ran into Nemo and Marlin. Marlin apologized to Dory. Dory explained her parents were at the institute. The trio continued down the pipes together, but when they reached quarantine, the tank of blue tangs had already been loaded on the truck to the aquarium. Suddenly, Hank appeared. Lifting Dory and her friends in a coffee pot, he helped them onto the truck. The blue tangs told Dory that her parents had tried to find her and never returned. Dory realized her parents were gone. She was stunned. "I don't have a family," she said sadly. "That's not true," Nemo said, shaking his head. Dory swam backward into the coffee pot and was scooped up by Hank. At that moment, an institute worker grabbed the octopus. Surprised, Hank dropped Dory. He watched horrified as the little blue tang spilled onto the floor and down a drain to the ocean. Dory shot out of the drain into the ocean. All alone, she began to panic, and then she saw a trail of shells. She decided to follow it. In the distance, Dory saw 2 figures moving closer. It was her parents. Crying happily, they pulled Dory close. They were overjoyed to see her. Her parents explained they had gone to quarantine to find Dory. When they couldn't find her, they realized she must have gone through the pipes to the ocean. They knew they had to do the same thing. They had been waiting in the same spot for years, hoping Dory would return. When her parents asked her if she had been alone, Dory remembered her friends. Nemo and Marlin were still on the truck. Dory and her parents swam toward the Institute. They called out to Destiny for help, and Bailey and Destiny jumped out of their pools and into the ocean. Using his special sight, Bailey located the truck going over a bridge. Dory asked some nearby otters for help. Destiny flipped Dory onto the bridge, and the otters created a distraction, stopping traffic. One of the otters caught Dory and brought her to the truck. Marlin called for Becky, who flew Marlin and Nemo to the water. Left behind, Dory convinced Hank to come with her to the ocean. Just then, Becky returned for Dory. But before they could all escape the truck, the doors shut, locking them inside. Dory came up with a crazy plan. Hank took control of the truck while Dory navigated. Together, they drove the truck off a cliff into the ocean, where Dory's friends and family were waiting. A short time later, Dory found herself back on the Great Barrier Reef. Hank, Destiny, Bailey, and Dory's parents had come to live with her, Marlin and Nemo. One day, Marlin followed Dory to the drop-off. Dory stopped at the edge. "I was just enjoying the view," she told Marlin. "It really is quite a view," Marlin said, turning around. Dory looked behind her. Her combined family was gathered together, smiling at her. Dory had a feeling she would remember this moment forever. The end. Thanks for listening.